Okay, so if you've watched any of my cycling videos, you know I'm not a weight weenie. I just want to do what works, and I don't really care what they do on the tour. I want to do what works when I'm riding. I ride all sorts of bikes. This is a vintage Raleigh record that I've disassembled, reassembled, cleaned up, and kind of refurbishing it. Needs a new chain. But I don't like having to go to a cycle shop and deal with the nonsense of, well, this is a 230 gram chain. You spend $50 more and you get a 226 gram chain. I don't care. I want a chain I can easily install, and I want a chain I can take off easily. I want a chain that's quiet, that's sturdy, that's reliable. I don't really care if it's 10 grams more. So I'm going to show you how to change a bike chain with as few specialty tools as possible. You can actually do it without any specialty tools if you have a decently equipped shop. I'm going to show you the one specialty tool you might want to consider, and the rest of it we're going to do it with just what you have laying around. So the first tip is to get the right chain. Now if you're doing a multi-speed bike like that, or like the Raleigh over here, you want to get the Bell Link 700 for 9-speed. If you want, this will work for almost any multi-speed bike. If you have a regular kids bike, or single speed, they have a smaller chain for that. But this would work for any bike. You can take links out of it, and I'll show you how to do that. The problem with this is it's a little heavier than most chains, but these instructions are garbage. Are you listening to me, Bell? These instructions are garbage. So I'm going to show you how to put this on your bike with as few tools as possible. You can actually do it with very little. If you have one of these, you're looking at all the tools you need. The utility knife is to open the pack. This is a chain breaker or pin punch. I'll show you how to use this, and I'll show you the alternate method to break the chain, because you're going to have to break the chain if you want it to fit. So let's get right down to work. First thing we got to do, open that bad boy. I think Satan actually designed these blister packs. I'll see. Once you open them, no way to reseal them. So when you open it, you got your length of chain, and you have those. This is the key to this working. You have the pin, and then you have this double slotted. You see how the slot is kind of smaller in the middle, large on one end. That's the trick. So the first thing to do is you got to make sure the chain fits. So let me show you how you do that. So what I've done is just laid the old chain, the black one obviously, next to the new chain, laying them out side by side. And you can see the new chain is a little longer. And mind you, we're going to have the extra link added to the new chain. So we actually need to cut the chain one link back from there, so about right here. And it doesn't have to be precise because your derailleur is spring loaded, but you need to cut it right about here. But let's say your old chain broke off in the middle of a ride and you ditched it because it's greasy and nasty. Well, then you're stuck, right? Now I'm going to show you how to determine the proper length for your new chain. So we're going to assume we don't have the original chain, and we don't know how long the chain needs to be. So I'm going to show you how to determine that on your bike. First off, leave the back wheel mounted, and you have to put the derailleurs in the position to where they would be on the larger chain ring, which is where these are. Now, in other words, you don't want your derailleur over here. You want it over there on the large chain ring. You want it on the large chain ring, see? And then the same thing in the back. See, the derailleur's over the large chain ring. Large chain ring. You don't want it over here. You want it over here. And what that's going to do is going to put the derailleur, when you have the chain on, it's going to put the derailleur in the most extended position it is, so you know how long your chain needs to be. You'll see what I'm talking about when you get on there. So first things first, we've got to mount the chain to the bike. Just put it on the large chain ring, pull it through. All right. Remember, this is gravity. It's going to pull this chain off. So kind of keep your eyes on what you're doing here. you want to get the chain to where only a few links are hanging in front of the front chain ring. This can be tricky because the bike's going to want to, the weight of the chain is going to pull that chain ring one way or the other. So I have it on the big chain ring in the front and drooping it over the big chain ring in the back. And then we just feed it through the rear derailleur. And this is a very old bike, so you can see this derailleur has these plastic rings. Yours probably has toothed rings. Same thing, doesn't make any difference. So we take our chain, see if I can do this one-handed. Run it through the derailleur. Get in there. Get in there. This is clearly a two-handed job. The way the derailleur operates is like this. It's going to be way down. So the chain actually comes over the cassette's what this called, these little smaller chain rings, over the front and then over the back. So just remember when you pull it down, the chain's got to be way out here. And usually you'll have these guards on the outside of your derailleur, your rear derailleur. So kind of a messy job, but you got to feed the chain through like so. Then right back up here like so. There we go. So now you see how that chain's going to work, and the derailleur, of course, when it's under tension, it's going to be like this. Okay. So now to find out how to make it fit. The tricky part. All right. So we want to link the two chains together. What you want is when the chain is tight at this position, you want this derailleur, which is going to be moving, to not be completely extended, but you want it to be snug. So right here is probably looking good. So we have enough chain at this position with this many links, right? I don't know if you can see that. But the question is the chain too long? So if you're on the small link and the small chain rings, then we have to see is there enough tension to keep the chain on the bike when you're riding it, because the last thing you want is your chain to be popping off, break another chain, or worse, wreck your bike, break some spokes. So then we readjust all the derailleurs back in the opposite direction. Move the chain to the small chain rings. See if I can do this without dropping the chain. And we've managed. So, with the chain this length, is there enough tension on the small chain rings? And you see that? If that's on there, this is a little loose. A little bit on the loose side. There we go. And which means that when you're going at full steam ahead, your chain's going to be wobbling. You hit a bump, that booger's going to come off. So we need to take, I'm guessing maybe 2-3 chain links out. Don't take a huge bit out first. Take 1 or 2 chain links out, the smallest number you think you can get away with, retest it. And then after you've retested it, if you need more off, fine. But if you take too much off the first time, you can't add links back, you're buying another chain. So now let's show you how to remove a chain link 2 different ways. One with tools, one without. Okay, so removing chain links. What you actually have to remove is one of these little tiny pins right there. You pop that out and the chain's going to come apart. The problem is, how do you remove that chain, that pin, without damaging the links? Well, the easiest way is to buy one of these. And I already showed you this. And the way it works, chain slips in there. You tighten that pin down, that puncher down. You see how it's going to push that pin out? So I say we remove 2. I actually think I'm going to remove 3. But because that's the least I think I can get away with. And that's the most likely. And this adjusts over here to hold it in place. So what you see, there's a hole in there. This part's adjustable to keep that nice and tight. I'm going to remove 3 lengths. Take this off a little bit. And you might want, if you've never done this before, you might want to try with the first link, and then the second link, and then the third link, doing one at a time, so that by the time you get to where you have to remove the right number of pins, or right number of links, you're good at what you're doing, you're not going to damage anything. Because if you damage one you're not going to use, who cares, right? So we get that pin set right in the middle of that, or the punch right in the middle of the pin. Tighten this up so that's nice and firm on that side. And then we just turn it. And you're literally breaking the chain. You'll hear some clicks. I'll be real quiet so you can listen. Oh, not that. I'm using a good bit of force. That one didn't click, it just suddenly the resistance went away. So now we're pushing the pin out. And usually there's a second click or a second point where the resistance stops. And there it was, you hear that? So now the pin's completely out. Back this off, pull that out, and there's the piece we removed. And inside there is the actual pin. Now this is ruined now, I can never use that again. Garbage. So just for giggles, I'm going to try and show you how you can remove a link without a specialized tool. Okay, method 2, and this is the inferior method. But if you don't want to have to buy tools, this is what you do. Get you a socket, one that is roughly the same size around as the chain link itself, that surrounding. So I'm going to use the small one, this tiny one. This is a, what size is this? 4.5 milliliter, 4.5 millimeter. Just the other one's just there to hold the setup up. Get that pin centered directly over that socket, right? Let's turn it this way. You can kind of see what I'm doing. And if you're looking at the tools in the background, you already know what I'm going to do. This is not easy. There are better ways to do this. Obviously the way I just showed you is the best way. And I had to find a nail punch that was the right size around. This tiny little thing is it. That's going to fit that pin just right. And I have a tiny little hammer here. Don't want to use anything too heavy. So, get that dead center. And it's going to work just like it did the other way around. Check it. No progress yet. And there you go. No specialty tools actually needed. There's my pin. And you know, you could actually say this way's might be faster. Okay, so now to put the whole thing back together. Now, before you put the link in and make this a solid chain, you're going to want to go ahead and test and make sure you have the right size. The chain is the right size in case you need to remove more links. I've done this a time or 10, so I'm confident. I'm going to skip that method for now, but make sure you double check the length of your chain before you put it all together. And then the threading. Give you a real quick tip here. There we go. Real quick tip. Don't try to put it together when it's under tension, okay? There's no reason to do that. taken off the front chain ring, so you have a lot of extra slack and you're not wrestling yourself. But you want to get the chain positioned so that you're going to be working in the free space here between the front and rear chain rings. And I know the rear is called a cassette, I don't care, shut up. There we go. Plenty of room. So let's bring the camera in closer so you can see what we're doing. This is where we use our two little chain link pin, or I don't know what you call this, master link I think they call it, but they slide together like so. See how that kind of slides in there? And then once that is pulled tight, it doesn't come loose. Okay, so this is one of those things where the bell instructions are useless. Okay, see how this is the outer part of the chain? There we go. See how it's the outer part? This has to go because this is what replaces it. That goes in there. And the hole sizes are different. The holes don't work. So this piece has to go out. So I've got to take one more link out again. So you saw how the other side wasn't going to fit. The other link part wasn't going to fit. Now it's going to slide right in. And since I have this master link facing you, the flat plate on this side, the flat part needs to be on the other side, on the other end of the chain. So it's going to go in like that. Get the camera to focus right there. There we go. We just put the two halves together. This hole, the fat end that's closer to the center, goes to the pin. And we line up the other side at the same time. Snap them together. So when you first have them snapped together, see how they're overlapping? See right here where I'm tapping? See that overlap right here on this end? That's because it's not tight. What you end up doing is, so this right here is that link we just added. Usually end up putting some pliers in there and forcing it to slide. I don't know why the camera doesn't want to focus on that. Forcing it to slide out. But once it's snapped in this position, and once this pin is on the outside, you're secure. You're not going anywhere, right? That chain is sturdy. She's ready to roll. We'll zoom back out. Okay. Once you have that, there we go. Once you have the chain link in there, this bike is, once I put the wheels on, this bike's going to be ready to roll. Once we have the link in, we're ready to mount the chain. Slap it on the chain link. There we go. And then she's ready to ride. You paid, these cost $10 at Walmart. You can have them shipped to your local store. You're good to go. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't like to pay people to work on my bikes. It's something you can do yourself. Don't need any special tools to put these on. Now if you buy the ones, almost any other brand, if you buy any other chain, you're going to have specialty tools to put these chains together. There's no reason to have to do that. Unless you're a weight weenie, unless you're running the Tour de France. If you're just a weekend warrior like me or like to ride around with your kids, this is all you need. That's one of my bikes that has one of these on it. There's a Trek back there with one of these on it. Yeah, don't go out and spend extra money. And if you like this video, thumbs up, like, and all that stuff. But more importantly, if you want to ride a bike and you don't want to be hustled by the bike snobs of the world who try and make cycling the most expensive thing you can possibly do, check out my other videos and feel free to ask questions. I reply to just about every comment on these videos. So take care. Talk at you.